Hey everyone, sorry I haven't done a video in a few days. It's been a rough week. I've had doctor's appointments and stuff, and I had just not been feeling good. My gastroparesis is giving me a little bit of a hard time right now, but I wanted to make a video. I did have a new follower who is a new Tubie who had some questions, and I wanted to make sure that those questions were answered and taken care of. That way everybody else can get experience from it also. So this new Tubie received a GJ tube and is trying to transition, back to her life, and that can be very hard once you have this tube sticking out of your stomach. So a few things that I wanted to talk about is just how to adapt and how to get back out there. After I got my GJ tube, I stayed home for a week, and the only reason that I stayed home was because I wanted to work my feed rate up to 12 hours so that I didn't have to wear my pump at work. And for some of us it can be very self-conscious because if the tube sticks out it looks awkward, things like that. So the first thing I want to go over is taping up your tube. Most doctors start with a long tube and they will wait to transition you to a button tube. So I actually have a stoma infection, so I'm taping up my own tube because when it moves it's really hurting. Now you can use regular medical tape or paper tape. I am allergic. The paper tape I was able to use for a little while before it started irritating my skin. So there are some tapes out there that are made for more sensitive skin. Hypafix is one of them, and probably the most common that I've seen used with most tubies. So all I'm going to do is cut a piece of it. I forgot to grab scissors, hold on one second. So it doesn't have to be too big. As you can see, the Hypafix itself is pretty wide. And it doesn't have to be very wide, wide this way to cover your tube. So I'm just going to cut off a small piece of tape. Just like that. And all you need to do is grab your tube and imagine if it was longer. I would usually tape it right about here so that you still are able to use the tube, but it doesn't dangle, and most of the time that will keep it so that most people will not be able to tell you have a tube. The first, I think, 2 to 3 months that I was a Tubie, I was only doing night feeds, and nobody knew any different when I was in clothes. They could not tell. They couldn't see my tube. They didn't know. They had just known that I'd had some rapid weight loss, and then I would explain what was going on and say that I'm feeding tube dependent now, and they would look at me and they wouldn't believe me. So all you have to do, like I said, is just tape up the tube. And I'm not going to tape it as far for me because I'm using mine right now, and I just want to stabilize it. But then you just tape it up and you're good to go. Like I said, with the longer tubes, you can tape it like just pull it to the side and tape it. I would alternate sides though, so that you don't irritate your stoma too much. If you use just one side, that can cause granulation tissue on that one side that you're using, because that's how granulation tissue is developed. Granulation tissue is developed by too much rubbing of the tube against your stoma and then your stoma trying to heal. So that's one of the first things that I wanted to address. She was also having some issues with her skin around her stoma and the bumper that they use on a GJ tube. There's a few things that you can do. There is gauze called drain sponges that are specifically made. You know, they have that small opening. So you would put that in between your skin and the bumper around the around the tube and tape it. Well, I would tape it. The reason I would tape it is because it could come off. But again, I have that adhesive sensitivity, so I would not tape it to my skin. What I would do is, once I had it on, I'd take the top layer and just tape the top layer closed. And that'll keep it on there. It won't be able to open anymore, so it may rotate, but it won't fall off. A couple of other things you can do to protect your stoma. You can use Tubie pads. They are very popular. They work really well, actually. They're very absorbent. They have a snap closure, and again, they sit around your feeding tube under the bumper, and you know, the fabric will usually absorb everything that's discharged. There are so many places to get these, and I've already stated once before, and I'll say it again. On Facebook, the ones that I get are from Gotz G Pads, Gotz space GPADZ. She is wonderful. She gets these done within about a week and a half to 2 weeks at the most, depending on her orders. Very cheap. She doesn't charge shipping. You know, there's other places that you can get, you know, Tubie pads. If you Google G-pad tubes, G-tube pads or J-tube pads, you'll find them, and they can range like up to $5 to $8. But you know, Gotz G pads, Shannon has a lot of different fabrics, different prints. And she's willing to work with you. There's multiple sizes, and you can decide whether you want the button closure or a Velcro closure. If you're having a lot of discharge, she can add a third layer for you for absorbency. She has some good, you know, if you're having a certain type of problem, she can try and find a way to make these Tubie pads work for you. She also does trach pads and belts, G-tube belts, so that your tube is held up with this belt, but you can actually still run your feed with the belt on. And I believe she does syringe packs. It's like a pack for you to put your syringes in. But I'm not 100% sure about that one. But she also does backpacks. She makes them so that the feeding tube, or the pump and the bag and everything fit and go properly and have the holes to have the tubing come out so it won't get caught, things like that. So she does do that. Again, it's Gotz space GPADZ. Very reliable. I love her. This is where I get all my Tubie pads from. And I had another friend who sent me some that a friend of hers made. And these are, I mean, they're just great. I use them every day. More for to protect your skin is you can use some type of barrier cream. You can use a barrier cream like this. The hospital is actually the one that gave me this, but the zinc irritated my skin, so any type of barrier cream. It's kind of also like diaper rash cream, but you can use that around your stoma to keep the fluids from bothering you. You can use good old Neosporin or triple antibiotic cream, bacitracin. Those are good also. Or if you want, you can also use Vaseline. This is just a Vaseline package that the hospital gave me at one point. And Vaseline around it will help. A tip about Vaseline: if you ever are using silver nitrate when you're at home, if you put Vaseline around your stoma, the silver nitrate will not be able to burn that part of your skin. So that's just another extra little tip. All three of those, if I were to put them on, I would use a sterile cotton swab to do that, to try and avoid infection. Just because the stoma is sensitive, especially if it's new. Now, you know, if you just got it, it's hard. It's a transition, but it's, you know, you'll get through it. It's not something, you know, impossible to live with. It's just that adjustment period of time. Another problem is the pump sound. For me, it wasn't the sound, it was more the light, but hold on one second. What I would do, my little pump right here, actually I had to stop my feed last night because of pain, but I take, where is it? It's lost somewhere in my bed, but I have an old tank top that I don't wear anymore. I'm not sure where it went in the middle of the night, but I'll just use the t-shirt for now. So you've got the pump on, and let me do this. And you've got it running. So you will get used to the noise. Again, like I said, for me, the biggest thing was the light. I have to have complete darkness in order to go to sleep. So what I did is I used an old shirt or an old tank top, and I fold the tank top in half, and I drape it on there, and then pull the bottom up, and just kind of stick it through the side. Oops, that didn't work. Just kind of like so. Tank top. Wish I could find a tank top to show you guys better. No, let me see if I can grab a tank top that I use nowadays. Here we go. Okay, so this is the tank top, or this is a tank top, I should say. What I would do is I fold it in half at the top, or lengthwise, and then I take the bottom portion, and this is the part that I put on the top of the pump. Then I wrap this around, and the arm part I kind of stick it to the side so that it won't move. It muffles the sound a little bit, but if it were to alarm, you'll still hear it. See? So that's worked for me. I really don't have any other suggestions for the sound, other than it being muffled a little bit that way. It's just something that you're going to have to get used to. It won't take too long. It's, you'll be used to it within, give yourself like 2 weeks, and you'll be fine. The pain, it can take some time to transition. I think the worst pain was the first week. The hardest thing with the pain, the worst thing with the J tube is the button stitches. They're stitches on the inside, and on the outside it's this round plastic thing. Those button stitches hurt the worst, especially if you have swelling. I got mine taken off early because I could not stand the pain anymore. So icing that area, if you have those button stitches, icing that area will help, because if you swell, those button stitches do not give anything. So you get some swelling, those button stitches like push into your skin with the swelling, and it just makes it hurt worse. That, I've got to say, that's like 75% of your pain after you have your J tube placed. As soon as I got the stitches removed, it was completely different. I had barely any pain. You will have some pain throughout having the feeding tube. It's actually, tomorrow is my 1-year mark with my feeding tube, and you will get pain. That comes with granulation tissue. Granulation tissue can be taken care of with silver nitrate. There's a new company called Granulation. If you ask for a sample, you can try to see if that helps with granulation tissue rather than burning it off with silver nitrate, because silver nitrate is painful. If you're out and about with a backpack, just be proud of it. I mean, it's part of who you are. It's saving your life. It's keeping you healthy. If people look at you, don't stress over that. It's more important for you to be living than for you to care what other people think. With the long tubes, minimizing movement will help minimize your granulation tissue. The buttons are a little bit different. The extensions are very lightweight, so I don't tape that up. And sometimes I forget to even tuck it into my pants or something, and I'll be walking around and have this tube just hanging, and people look at me kind of weird, and I remember I have this tube just kind of hanging there, because of the placement between my legs, and it's something that me and my mom have laughed about before. With wearing the backpack, I'm going to tell you this: you are going to get it caught on something, making it an alarm. Just power it down, turn it back on, and keep going. You will be out somewhere, and your tube might disconnect, or the bag may leak, and it will be a mess. If you clean up what you can at that point, and just try not to stress about it is really the big thing. Things are gonna happen. You're gonna spill formula. Your pump is gonna alarm when it's the quietest setting around, whether you're in class or church or something like that. You're bound to get caught up in something. There's nights I've been caught up in my tubing even while I'm using my pole. Just take it day by day, and just remember that this thing is helping you more than hurting you. Carry baby wipes so that you can clean yourself off if something happens. Get carpet cleaner because this stuff is sticky, so it's hard to clean up. You know, it is a big adjustment, but you will feel better. Like I said, the first week, week to week and a half, I guess 2 weeks, because usually they leave the stitches in for 2 weeks, are the hardest. Once you get the stitches taken out, it's a lot easier. If you have abdominal spasms, after I had my feeding tube placed, I started getting abdominal muscle spasms, and I am 1 day away from it being my 1 year mark, and I still get them. So I take a muscle relaxer daily to help that. Most of the time that keeps me from getting them. You know, there's different things. Talk to your doctor about any concerns that you have. You know, there's never too little of a concern when it comes to your feeding tube. Never a question too stupid about it, you know, because it's part of you. If it gets infected, you can become septic, and that's dangerous. So if you feel like you might have any type of infection, contact your doctor right away. If you feel something is wrong with your feeding tube, you know, let your doctor know. Don't worry about bothering them. That's their job. That's what they're there for. They're there for to help you. One downside to a GJ tube is that the J tube portion can flip or can be dislodged. For some people, it's a lot easier than others. I've had 3-day spell. One day when I was in the hospital, they made me try and drink contrast for a CT, even though I told them I couldn't. And this was like down the road. I had gotten my feeding tube March 1st, and this was like in August. And that 10 cc's of contrast made me throw up for 3 days straight. And my feeding tube was perfectly fine after that. Back at the end of April of that same year, I had one day that I threw up a couple of times and dislodged my feeding tube. So exactly 2 months to the day, April 1st, I had my feeding tube replaced. So, you know, if you start to run your feed and you start to feel nauseated or bloated, you know, stop it. There's different ways to test it. Some people put like water with food coloring, and they'll flush their J tube and vent their G tube to see what to see if it is. So if you flush your G tube with that like blue water, and blue water comes out of your G tube, then you know your J tube has flipped. Dislodging your feeding tube can be extremely painful. That's what I had. My G tube didn't flip, it just moved, and it was not in the right position anymore, and it was extremely painful. So they ended up just replacing my feeding tube. And I haven't had any problems since then. So that thing is case by case. Right now, I can't think of anything else that a new Tubie should be aware of. But like I said, I think my main concern is this person told me that they're starting to develop blisters or sores. Keep an eye on those. Use some antibiotics on it, and change how you're putting the gauze. Don't tape it to your skin. Just tape it closed. Maybe order some Tubie pads and see if those work better so that the blisters are not there. But definitely get some bacitracin on there or skin barrier cream. You don't want those blisters to turn into something more. And, you know, just keep an eye on it. Like I said, and I'll say it 1,000 times again, there's never too much of a concern, or I'm sorry, too little to be concerned about, or too stupid of a question to ask. If anybody else has any questions or concerns, let me know. I can do another video on it. Otherwise, next week I plan on talking about some of the other diseases that I have and a few things that I'm going to be going through. Hope you guys are all having a very good Go Green Friday for gastroparesis. It's also Rare Disease Day, so feel free to put that up as your status, have people ask you about your disease. It's just another way to spread awareness, and awareness is the first step to finding a cure. So wear jeans for Rare Disease Day. Spread the word. Let others know. Invite them to ask you questions. And let's just get the word out there. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And I look forward to doing my videos for next week. Thank you.